And now more than ever, you need to have a plan to help your business not just survive, but thrive. And it can happen as simply with thinking with the end in mind. I'm Marcia. I'm a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guide your growth, and plans for your future exit. Because a business worth selling is also a business worth owning. And I want to share strategies that I've earned and learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something to share with you. I put together an insightful, think outside the box masterclass. This 15-minute training has been specifically designed to help you learn how to get your business sale ready, even if you aren't thinking of selling it yet. Why now? Join me and find all the benefits that come with having a sale-ready business. Register for free at scale2sell.biz. All right, I'm excited to have my international guest with me today, Matt Edmundson. Matt is the CEO of Orion Digital. He is very well versed in e-commerce and is an e-commerce entrepreneur. His sites have generated over $75 million in worldwide sales. He's also a coach, and he's helped his clients turn over 100 million. So Matt is a fellow podcaster, right? And host of the eCommerce podcast, where he chats with experts in the field of e-commerce on how to grow and develop online businesses. Now, he's also a family man, and he's from Liverpool, UK. And I think if he had his own way, he loves football so much, he'd buy the Liverpool Football Club. So Matt, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
Oh, it's great to be here. And thank you for that intro. No one's ever mentioned that before, but that's great. No, it's great to be here.
Yeah, with the Liverpool, we all
yeah.
have our interests. I'm a hockey nut, so I watch a lot of ice hockey, and Stanley Cup's going on currently. So there's like 4 games every night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does that mean you have 4 TVs with each game on?
No, I switch between the lenses. You know, I'll watch this one and it goes in intermission, then I'll go back and watch another one for a little while and come back. So yeah, we get it going. But then it starts to trim down. You know, it's one of those. You know, you start with 16 and go to 8 and then, you know, down to 4 and down to 2. So fun stuff.
Yeah. Sounds great.
My ex-husband got me started in hockey, and then it became, you know, quite the obsession. So love it.
Well, it's good to be obsessed about something.
Of course, we have to. All right. So how in the world did you get involved with e-commerce? What triggered all that?
It was completely by accident, if I'm honest with you. It all started in the late 90s when a friend of mine asked me if I knew anybody that could do a website for his church. And I was like, I only know one company that can do websites, and it was crazy money back then. I mean, crazy money to get a website developed. So I said to him, listen, I know that there's some software out there. If you buy the software, I'll figure out how to do the website. And so he said, okay. And that kickstarted a journey for me in web development. I just learned it as a side hustle. And then in 2002, so about 4 years after that, I realized that e-commerce was starting to become a bit of a thing. And so I wrote my first ever e-commerce website. But I had no product to sell. I had this website, but no product to sell on it. So I approached some friends of mine who sold tanning products, you know, these kind of lotions you put on your skin when you went onto a sunbed to try and tan faster. And so I said to them, dude, listen, do you mind if I sell your products online? Because I just need a product to sell and I've no idea what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to sell 1 or 1,000. And he's like, no, go for it. And so we set up a company called TanMad, as you do, and we started selling tanning products online. And then 6 months later, I sold that website to the guys I bought the products from. They were like, oh, wow, this is really great. So can we take that over? And I'm like, sure. And so that kickstarted the whole journey for me. And here I am 20 years later, still doing not tanning products, but still doing the same sort of thing.
I was just going to say, tanning products are still pretty popular, but yeah, that's great. That's great. So, you know, with products like that, you know, I've heard so many stories in the e-commerce world that they've done it the same way. They built the engine, you know, the website, and then just find stuff to sell. I mean, are e-commerce always being like middlemen? You know, someone makes it and I find a good deal on it and then I resell it to you. Is that how it works? primarily?
It can do. And the irony is, I don't really advocate that as a way of doing it now.
Okay.
If I'm honest with you, I think what worked for me in 2002, 20 years ago, is very different to the world which we live now. Back then, there was no choice in e-commerce platform. There was, it was a very different world. Google AdWords hadn't even become a thing. It was very different. And so now everything's sort of flipped on its head. And so if you're going to start online, you first have to start with a product before you go and build the platform. And the reason you have to do that is because it doesn't pick a product that you want to sell. Dog leads, for example, a dog leash. So let's say I want to sell dog leashes online. Well, pet owners are a particular breed of people amongst themselves. The way they do things. Yeah. And the way they do things, the way they think, the way they act is very unusual. And so if I just go and give them the same as I give somebody over here that's buying vitamins, for example, or, protein supplements for the gym head, well, the two very different markets, very different ways of approaching life, and very different ways of thinking about how to buy something online. And so when you start with a product, you can then go, right, what's the best solution for my customer to buy that product? What's the best platform? What's going to help them buy this product quickly and easily and in a way that they're going to go tell 20 of their friends about it, right? So now I built the platform in 2002 and then went and found the product. Here there's no way I'd do that now. I'd always go product first, and then I'm like, right, what's the best way to serve that market?
Nice. Okay, good. Glad to hear, because I hear there's so many ads out there, so many coaching programs, and so many ways of, at least what I see of saying, oh, you can sell anything and just, go find a trend and then start selling stuff on it. And I'm like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and
I don't need to white label stuff.
Yeah. If only it was that easy. Jeez,
right. I can sell cupcake tins or something like that. That's
become
fantastic.
a millionaire overnight. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so most of my clients are professional services, business owners, the traditional kind of mindset. I'm believing that especially with the shift that we went through in COVID, right? Everybody's online now.
Sure.
Even my attorneys who had these, great boardrooms are meeting clients online. There's got to be an avenue where these types of traditional model businesses can get into some sort of e-commerce to supplement their income or add value to their clients. Do you think that that's something that's possible?
I absolutely do. Yes. And I totally advocate that. So my background is in e-commerce. I say to people, I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur, which most people in their head will go, well, there's a guy that sells product online, right? That's what that means. Yeah. I have a product and he knows how to sell that on a website. But the truth is these days, and it's been true for 20 years, products don't have to be physical. They can be digital. Right. And so if we instantly remove that barrier, which says I've got to be able to touch what it is that I'm buying, and you enter the sphere of digital products, well, that opens up a whole chunk of possibility for service providers, right? Who, and I do service provision. I do coaching. Like you mentioned, I've owned and ran a digital agency, which in effect, if I boil it down to the simple terms, I am selling time for money. In effect, you give me money, I give you time. It could be a web developer's time. It could be this, it could be that, because you need that time to create this outcome that you want. When I got into the service-based business, I was like, man, this is rubbish compared to e-commerce, because in e-commerce, I'm like, I can go to bed and wake up richer. Right. I can go to bed, and I would always enjoy waking up in the morning and seeing how many people bought my products overnight whilst I was asleep. It was a beautiful thing. And so it became a driving thing for me. How do I bring that concept to my service-based model? Right. How do I do that? And I think if you're in the service-based industry listening to this product, I think that should be your overriding question. I genuinely do. I think you should be like, how can I make money out of what I do whilst I'm asleep? What's the route to do that?
Thank you. And I believe in the same. And I think that with with the way consumers are buying these days. I mean, here in the States, everybody's buying on Amazon. So they're even grocery shopping. My daughter orders her food and tells them to deliver it between 5 and 6, and there's bags on her doorstep. So everybody's buying online.
Mhm.
So why can't we buy a product of sort of an information product or a digital product online through a professional that we would
Mhm.
normally have? Or, I mean, so that was my whole mindset. So I agree on that's the angle that we have to go. So
Mhm.
when we're talking about products or digital products, give me some examples of what you would consider a digital product.
So anything that you can, in theory, download
Mm,
and have on your computer. So you could the common examples would be like an electronic book or like a video, like an online course. They tend to be great products. Membership sites of digital products. They're phenomenal things going off right now. And then there's also hybrid. So we did some work with a medical practice in New Zealand, and it was kind of like, they have a really interesting medical system in New Zealand, very unlike the British one, actually. It's kind of, it was quite unusual. It took me a little while to get my head around it. But it was interesting when you talk to people about going to the doctors and what they like and what they don't like. So if you go see a general doctor, a GP, we call it a general practitioner, you go to the doctors. A lot of people like me were like, I don't enjoy that experience. I don't want to go sit in a room with a bunch of sick people because I don't know what I'm going to catch and wait in line for an undetermined amount of time to talk to a doctor, right?
or a
I
nurse
don't want to
practitioner.
do
You
that.
don't even get the doctor these days.
Yeah, whoever it is that I'm going to talk to. And it was just, the whole experience was horrible. So we were like, well, what if you could just put that whole thing online? So I may need to physically see the doctor, but 9 times out of 10, I don't. 9 times out of 10, the problem can be solved online. So what would happen if that patient didn't have to go sit in a room full of sick people, didn't have to go wait, take the whole morning off work because they didn't know how long they were going to be for, in effect, what was a 5-minute conversation? What would happen if that doctor called me at a predetermined time using video like we are now on Zoom or whatever it's going to be? I pay them my $50 or $100. I have the conversation and we determine the next steps from there, right? How difficult is that? And that solves like 70 to 80% of all the things that people come into the doctor's surgery about. Everyone's happier, everyone's healthier, costs go way down. I mean, the benefits are enormous. And so you can do these hybrid things as well online, and that you can sell these things online. So I think digital products therefore take on a whole different meaning. It's like, what can I deliver online through the lens of a camera on screen? What is it? What can that look like for my business and my service?
I love it. I love it. And using that same, telemed is getting so popular here in the States. Even the insurance companies or the hospital organizations are announcing that you can do the telemed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fantastic example of how you can transform your business. And it's not 100%, but if you could, like you said, do 80% of it going back and forth here,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it's really bad, or if it's just a rash and they're going to call in the prescription to the local pharmacy, and you go get the cream and you rub it on and you check back next week and say, oh, it's better now, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, which is really what most of the treatments are. I mean, if you've broken your arm, okay, yeah, it looks like it's dangling, go get an x-ray. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a little different, but yeah, I think that even traditional service-based companies, and we're talking like accountants and CPAs or the legal profession, attorneys, um, they can still do this too. Advisors and coaches, if you're going to your financial
Mm-hmm.
advisor, you don't have to take the morning off to go sit with them to review your
Mm-hmm.
portfolio. You have an interaction
Mm-hmm.
online, and that there becomes a digital offering. And I think that this is really the trend that I want to recommend to so many providers out there, that there are other options
Mm-hmm.
and more avenues in your own view of saying, be client centric, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
client doesn't want to get dressed up and spend a whole half a day, going there because they can't see you on Saturday. They don't want you coming over on Tuesday night when the kids are
Mhm.
running around. I mean, they want to do it in a timely manner. Why not do it like this?
Yeah. No,
Wow.
that's exactly
Cool.
right. That's exactly. And
Cool.
if you look at the doctors that are growing, that are doing well, all of them have got this kind of system now implemented, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's convenience for the customer, and it's lower cost for them, and it becomes a win-win. I have a friend who he's a barrister, which is very posh English word meaning very
Attorney.
expensive attorney. Yeah, yeah. And he's a contracts barrister, so he's the guy that stands up in court and argues with the judge. And if you've ever seen them on TV, he has to wear the black robe and the white wigs.
No,
This
he
is
does not.
yeah, he does. Yeah.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
that's what he does. He's also a computer genius, this fellow, and he's a really good friend of mine. And he currently is writing in his spare time computer code that it's like an AI system that will analyze previous cases, right? So he wants to be able to type into the computer the particular parameters of a case that he's working on. The AI overnight will go and review all the case law and come back and write all the documentation that he needs. So when he wakes up in the morning, it's all there and he's ready to file papers or do whatever it is he needs to do. And it's just becoming insane, some of the things that you can now do, when you sort of
Ah,
think about it.
exactly. And to make it easier, thinking about, so I have an attorney friend on the East Coast that she writes contracts, just generic contracts for agreements and things that you need to do, client agreements,
Mhm.
course agreements. She wrote my podcast agreement for me that you signed. And so they're very detailed, and she's answered all these things, but this becomes a product that
Mhm.
she can sell that says that, okay, for X amount of money you buy my contract software and you get access to all these contracts you want
Mhm.
to do. And if you need it reviewed, because she has the fill in the blank for your name kind of stuff,
Yeah.
if you need it reviewed, she gives you a discount on her time to review
Mhm.
that. And
Mhm.
I think that that's one of those, go to bed at night and people buy your your your
Yeah.
your
No, it
product or your
totally is.
membership into that need that you have.
Mm.
Um, I can't see necessarily a dentist saying, "Let me look at your teeth through the camera," but I think that the dentist could provide a subscription service for maybe the whitening that you want to do on it
Mhm.
or the special mouthwash that you need. He could sell the products that he's recommending to you, the
Yes, you
special
can. Yeah.
toothpaste, or you can buy my dental quality, toothbrush that spins around. So I think that we can all have an additive of some sort of product or additional service onto our business that can bring revenue for us and deepen that relationship between you and your customer, so your customer continues to buy from you
Mhm.
and continues to use your service because you provided something that nobody else is providing out there.
That's very true. And the dentist actually would be very wise to sell the toothpaste and the toothbrush in a subscription plan that includes a regular checkup in the dental studio. So it's like, join my plan. It's $20 a month or whatever it's going to be. I send you the
Exactly.
toothbrush, the toothpaste every 3 months, and every 6 months you get a checkup, and every 12 months you get a whitening or whatever it is. You have package A, package B, package C. You always have three. Your bronze, your silver, your gold, whatever you want to call them.
Love it.
Your low price, your mid price, and your high price. And you put those online and you sell them. And what this does, not only does it give you an upsell. So I know if I go to the dentist, I am very interested in the toothpaste that my dentist uses, right? A lot of the TV commercials will say dentists recommend this. I care very deeply about what my dentist does because he's the expert. So I want to buy what he recommends. So he should sell that to me. But more
100%.
importantly, if I subscribe and I know I'm getting a checkup in 6 months, I'm not hunting for another dentist for the next 6 months. So then
Hmm.
your repeat rates on your services also go up because you've made it easy for me to buy. You've made it more convenient. And every 6 months, I'm not going, oh, I need to book an appointment for the dentist, and it gets delayed another month. And I'm not thinking, oh, I need to book an appointment for the dentist. Oh, do I want to use this one, or is there a better one over there? I don't know. You've taken all that away, right? And so your repeat customer rates shoot through the roof. And so I think it's a sensible thing.
I love it. I love that subscription model. And then think about too, if you are a dentist, you can also do something like Invisalign, where they send you the mold, you mold your own teeth, and then every month they send you a new rubber to put in your teeth to straighten them. I mean, there's so many products that I think a dentist could look at. And this is just one simple example of something that would traditionally feel like it's kind of hard to add e-commerce, but you're adding it easily just by thinking outside the box. And that's what I love. All right. So let's talk about things like, if we get into maybe the blue collar trades, something that, the plumber, right? The plumber's got to come out, and he only gets called at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night because the toilet broke or the sink spewing water. Is there a digital product that maybe he could add to his plan?
Oh, absolutely. I was talking about this very thing, not with a plumber, but an electrician, a good friend of mine the other day. And it's like, what can you do? Right? Because it's same thing, right? He's just waiting on the phone and he's busy. So I'm like, well, number one, if you think about, he installed home cinemas.
Oh.
And so I was like, well, go service them once a year, and to charge people $30 a month, and you go service their home cinema once a year.
And if something breaks, they can call you and you get a discounted service or free or whatever, because you're on the plan. Love it.
Because you're on the plan, right? But if you go and service it, it's not as likely to break down. So you're not going to get that call at 11 o'clock at night because it's being maintained properly. And more importantly, you're in the client's house once a year talking to them, right? And so you can then upsell them the latest digital TV or the latest satellite system or whatever it is that's new that's driving them. You're not relying on them to find it out, right? So if I was a plumber, I've got a whole bunch of radiators installed in my house. He could get a device which just goes on the radiators in my house and sends him a thing. So if there's something that's not quite right, he can just call me up and say, oh, something's not quite right here, I need to come and see it. But every year I get him to come service that and clean all my radiators out, and I don't have to think about it. And it takes the pain away of trying to find the plumber or remember the guy that I spoke to 6 months ago. And
or
so
avoiding the emergency treatment because you haven't serviced it in forever.
Exactly.
So yeah, love it.
Prevention is always better than cure. And I'm the kind of guy that would much rather pay someone $20 a month than $250 every 12 months. It's the same thing, right? But I know which one I'd prefer to pay. And so you can do all those kind of things. You can, what can you do? What sort of preventative maintenance can you do? What kind of ways can you use digital to create an ongoing relationship with folks? What kind of security can you give them? How do you increase your repeat customer purchases? And what can I do that's going to help me do that? Knowing I've got digital, it's super convenient, it's super easy. And also, how am I going to take away some of my biggest headaches? So for my electrician friend, one of the biggest headaches he has is he has to go from A to B, and then he might have to come back to A again, right? Because 3 clients they don't conveniently all live on the same street, right?
They don't?
He's got all his travel costs to think about. Whereas if he's a bit more proactive about it, he can say, right, on that day, I'm going to do those 3 on that street. The following day, I'm going to do that area. Then now I'm starting to make a bit more sense. I'm starting to batch process a little bit of what I'm doing. So I'm now solving some of the key problems that I have by converting clients to this system. Not every client wants it, which is fine, but you know what?
But a lot
more want it than you think. Yeah.
And think about this, and I've used this model with my CPAs as well, but it's a very similar model. If you get enough people on the $20 a month, or however much a month is the subscription rate, to get in here, and then you go do the maintenance at a discounted, fee or whatever it is, you're getting income each month, right?
Hmm.
So think of it like in the financial world, it's called an annuity, right? You can count on, I've got, 100 people paying me X each month to be on my subscription plan, and they get so much more for it. And it
Hmm.
doesn't cost me any bit more. It's just staying in contact with them. And so I love this model, like the tax model. My
Hmm.
CPA files taxes, so they're really busy at tax time and they're not so busy in between and they miss those planning opportunities.
Hmm.
So when you get them on that monthly subscription and they get a discounted tax bill, then you can do planning and more
Hmm.
ideas with them. And have you thought about this credit? Have you thought about that? Maybe you should buy some trucks. Maybe, your income is high. It gives you more opportunities to deepen that relationship with a client that could be looking for, who's my next electrician. I need somebody who's picking up the phone at 11 o'clock at night versus the guy that I trust,
Hmm.
who's worked on it before and knows what's going on. And I
Hmm.
think that's the deeper angle here,
Hmm.
is that client relationship and engaging more with them and giving them a reason to stay with you when there's so much competition.
Exactly. It's like I say, it's a win-win. The whole thing is a win-win.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so in our last few minutes here, how hard is it to develop something? Do you need to have a coder to be able to write all this stuff to be able to develop an online digital product, or is it relatively easy?
That's a very good question. And I think I'm going to venture to say that 8 times out of 10, it's relatively easy. There'll be something out there that will help you do what you need it to do. And you may have to be a bit creative. You may have to think about how it's going to work. And then 2 times out of 10, you may need to seek a developer, depending on what it is that you want it to do. Like we did some work with a dry cleaning shop who wanted to put lockers all over the London Underground where you could drop your dry cleaning off in the
Oh,
lockers. You didn't have to go to the shop. You could just do it on your daily commute, which was a great idea. But those lockers, he had to have them so that you could scan your phone and it would track your order. And, obviously it needed to make sure the right clothes got back to the right person, blah, 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 blah. And so they spent probably about 150 grand developing an IT system that would enable all this to happen, right? So that's quite complex, that system. And it needed to be complex to create a relatively simple outcome for the clients. That it couldn't be
but
complicated for the client.
but that's an investment though. So
Mhm.
you're making an investment in your company to make it convenient for others to use it. And you could probably dollar cost average that piece out to
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you're getting your return on your investment in a shorter period of time. So it's not lost money. But yeah, so that's a little bit more on the
yeah,
harder
and
side. But like you
that's
said,
not
I
the
mean,
usual.
a lot of this stuff you can find online. You can you can get a website, or you can get
Hmm.
there's a lot of companies that are click and drag kind of thing,
Hmm.
or you can find someone who can help you strategize about the angle that you want to
Hmm.
do, and who, like yourself, who has those skills, right? To say,
Mm.
have you thought about this and this and that? Oh, here's who we would use on that. And then that's worth the time right there to go to an expert to help you strategize on how to
Yeah,
create it.
totally. Yeah,
How to
totally.
create it. Cool. Wow, this is fun. We talked about some different angles. We talked about some, different service lines and adding those kind of products. And I know that this is, for most of us, 8 out of 10, a small investment that will reap great rewards for
Hmm.
you on income, and revenue, also on stickability, I
Hmm.
guess, the stickiness of your customers, that they will love that because, as you presented earlier on, that customer, we have to go to where the customer is,
Hmm.
right? How the customer wants to buy. And I think that this is a great angle to deepen that relationship.
Yeah, it really is. And if you want to get started with something like this, the biggest thing you can do, the top tip, is going to be research your customers. What are their biggest pain points? Where do they overlap with your pain points as a business? And so how do you use digital to make that easier and more convenient? And if you can do that with one thing over here, to start off with something and get your win in that area. And then, you don't have to solve every single problem right at the start. Just start solving something. Like I was talking to some lawyer friends of mine in North Carolina. They were having issues with staff. And it's like, well, what does a member of staff do? Well, they transcribe the recordings from the meetings with the clients. Well, here's a website that will do the same thing for you. It's like $20 a month.
Pennies
like, oh
on
my
the
goodness.
dollar.
Yeah. It's like, oh, really? This is quite a fascinating, do you know what I mean? And so understand the pain points. Just go to Google. Is there a service out there that already helps you with that? And there probably is. So, but it starts with your customer research. What are their biggest pain points and where do they overlap with your pain points as a business?
Love it. Love it. All right, Matt, this has been really enlightening. And I know that listeners have gotten some ideas on this. Where can they find you and more information about this?
Sure, love to connect. All of my information, all of my details like social media links, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that sort of stuff, just head over to my website, mattedmundson.com. They are all on there. And
Perfect.
just, let me know how you heard of me and I'll happily help you if I can.
Love it. Love it. Well, like I said, this is such an interesting topic and it's such an important angle for every business to get online and provide some sort of commerce opportunity for their clients in a way that their clients want to do it. And I love the idea, starting with the research. What's going on and what can you solve and make it easier for the buyer. So good stuff. All right, listeners, I hope you found a few ideas to put into your business that will help you become more profitable. I know I have, and I've been talking about this for a little while, but I've just more ideas have popped up that I know my clients would be interested in hearing. So good stuff. All right. So now more than ever, don't forget it's important to build your business like you want to sell it. Don't forget to register for my new free 15-minute training on how to get your business sale ready, even if you aren't thinking of selling it. There are tons of benefits to having a sale-ready business, like more freedom, more money, and an easier to run business. Go register for free at scale2sell.biz. You don't want to miss this class. And we would love to hear your questions, feedback. Give us what you are thinking about on your digital side, on what you might be able to add to your business, or maybe something you've already added, or maybe something that failed, because we all fail. And we could learn from that. But put it in the chat. Tell us about it. Matt and I will respond to it and answer and give you feedback. So that'll be good. And then don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We'd love to have you on more. So as always, you can catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. And we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Matt.
Thanks a lot.